All right, let's talk about something that, let's be honest, can feel like a bit of a chore: test documentation. But I want you to think about it differently. This isn't about tedious paperwork, it's about creating the actual blueprint for quality software. It's your secret weapon. And this quote right here, it just nails it. We get so caught up in the bug hunt, right? But great testing is about more than that. It's about leaving a clear trail, like breadcrumbs, so that anyone on your team, today, tomorrow, or next year, can retrace your steps and confirm everything works. It's all about collaboration. You know, trying to build software without good test docs, it's like being dropped in the middle of a forest without a map or a compass. You might get out eventually, sure, but you'll be exhausted, frustrated, and you'll have no idea how you even did it. Good documentation, that is your compass. It gives you direction, stops your team from getting lost, and makes sure everyone is heading for the exact same goal, a rock-solid product. So where do we start this journey? Well, it all begins with the original blueprint. You simply can't test something if you don't know exactly what it's supposed to do. This first step, requirement analysis, is where everything begins, and it's absolutely crucial for QA to be in the room from day one. Now, these blueprints come in a few different flavors. You're going to hear acronyms like SRS, the Software Requirement Specification, or BRD, the Business Requirement Document, and of course, use cases. They all serve slightly different roles, but together they are the source of truth. This is the official agreement on what we're building. Let's zoom in on the SRS for a second. This is the really nitty-gritty stuff. It's the detailed architectural plan that spells out not just the functional requirements, what the system actually does, but also the non-functional ones. Things like how fast does it need to be? How secure should it be? This is our most detailed map. And check this out. Here's a perfect, simple example. The system shall allow a registered user to log in. Now, this looks straightforward, but for a tester, this one sentence is a goldmine. What makes a username valid? What's a registered user? What happens if they're not? See, this one little line is the seed from which dozens of tests are going to grow. Okay, so the requirements have given us our destination. Awesome. Now we need the roadmap to actually get there. And this is where two really important documents come into play: the test plan and the test strategy. They sound kind of similar, but trust me, they do very different things. So the test plan, that's your project management guide. It answers the big questions. What are we testing and when are we going to do it? It covers the scope, the resources, the schedule, all that good stuff. The test strategy, on the other hand, is all about the technicals. It answers how we're going to test. Are we going to automate? What kind of testing are we focusing on? So if you remember one thing, let it be this. The plan is your logistics. The strategy is your technique. And you absolutely need both to get where you're going. All right, with our plan and strategy locked in, we can start talking about the actual techniques, the tools in our toolkit that help us design really smart, efficient tests. Because let's be real, you can't test every single possibility. These methods help us work smarter, not harder. First up, equivalence partitioning. The idea here is to divide and conquer. Imagine an age field that only accepts numbers between 18 and 65. Instead of testing every number, you just create 3 groups. One for valid numbers, say 30, one for numbers that are too low, like 10, and one for numbers that are too high, like 100. Test one from each group, and you're good to go. Now, boundary value analysis is kind of like the sequel to that. It's based on a simple truth. Bugs love to hang out at the edges of a rule. So for that password that needs to be between 5 and 12 characters, we focus right on those boundaries. We'll test 4, which is too short, 5, the absolute minimum, 12, the absolute max, and 13, which is too long. It's an incredibly efficient way to find those common off-by-1 errors. But what happens when you've got really complex business logic? A whole bunch of if this, then that conditions. It can get messy fast. That's where decision tables are an absolute lifesaver. Look at this one for a login. It clearly maps out every single combination and tells you the exact outcome. It turns a tangled web of logic into a simple visual checklist. You won't miss a thing. So we have our techniques, but how do we actually write all this down? Well, there's a really clear hierarchy that takes us all the way from a big idea down to a piece of executable code. Think of it as 3 levels: the scenario, the case, and the script. At the very top of the pyramid is the test scenario. This is the 30,000-foot view. It's just a simple one-line statement describing what you want to test, like verify login functionality. Anyone can look at that and get the gist. Then we drill down from that scenario into the test case. This is where we get specific. A test case is like a detailed recipe. It gives a tester the exact step-by-step instructions, what data to use, and, this is key, what the expected result should be. And finally, for all those tests we need to run again and again, we create a test script. This is where we automate things. We're essentially taking the detailed steps from our test case and translating them into code so a computer can run the test for us perfectly every single time. It's a huge time saver. Okay, theory is great, but let's see how this all comes together in the real world. We're going to take everything we just talked about and apply it to our simple login example. And here's what that looks like. This simple table shows two test cases. TC1 is our happy path. What happens when a user does everything right? Then TC2 is a negative path. We're testing what happens when they mess up the password. This is the kind of clear, simple documentation that empowers anyone on the team to jump in and verify quality. So to wrap it all up, here are the big takeaways. 1, always start with the requirements. That's your blueprint. 2, create a plan for the what and when, and a strategy for the how. 3, use smart design techniques to focus your effort. And 4, break down big scenarios into detailed cases. The goal through all of this? Clarity. Always document so others can follow your path. Look, this whole framework isn't just theory. It's a practical compass that can help you and your team navigate the crazy world of software development with confidence. So now that you have it, what's the first project you're going to point it at? Thanks for digging into this with me today.